Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Grandstand Sports Data. Today, we're going to be breaking down our NFL Week 4 betting recap. We're going to go through the power ratings, the benchmark model, the fundamental factors, and then the systems we've been tracking to show you exactly how they performed. So, if you're serious about finding an edge, stick around because this is where the numbers are going to meet the results. All right, so let's jump over to the benchmark model results. And just to inform you, the benchmark model is not anything crazy. It's just you take margin of victory, you find the stats that correlate to margin of victory or win percentage. Either one is fine. And then you take those numbers and you create a model. So it's very benchmark. I would call it like the S&P 500 of the investment world. It's not supposed to outperform the market. It's not supposed to underperform the market. It's just supposed to give you that benchmark. You can see in week 4, the model was down in every single bet type. Actually, one of its worst being totals, which in the last 5 years, this has actually been one of its best bet types. But just as of this week, it went 4 and 12 on the totals. Not too good for your pocket, as you can see, down $8, more than $8 for every $1 bet. On the money lines, it went 6 and 9, not too good there, and then 7 and 9 on the spread. It was close to almost breaking even, but not quite. In terms of the model picks in the 2025 season, same thing across the board. It hasn't been profitable, but as you know, as an experienced sports bettor, as the years go on, it doesn't matter what these records will show you for betting the whole board on Sundays. It's about picking your spots, and this record is not showing you about picking your spots while having your model. Now, here are the parameters, or here are the teams that qualified for the model. So they were picked to win by the model last week and qualified with the minus 165 odds. As you can see, it was not a good week for the money lines, like we talked about in the last slide. Went 2 and 8 out of these selections, down $6.44 for every $1 bet. On the season, as you can see, all the way down at the bottom, get the 2025 season results. So when it filters those picks, those minus 165, and they need to be selected to win by the model. It's gone 6 and 15 so far, so down $10.46 for every $1 bet. So not the best there for you. I will say now that the win percentage of the model is creeping down a little bit, the odds will change. Remember, as your win percentage changes in the long run, you also have to fix the odds and make sure that you're betting with an edge. So sticking with the money line theme here, you can see here are the systems that qualified last week. We have favorites on a high total, the first one, mixed with the Grandstand Sports Data coaching model. That went 1 and 3 via the money lines. You can see the teams in red who lost, the teams in green who won to satisfy that factor. Now you can move down to the next one, 620-mile rule with the coaching edge at Grandstand Sports Data. That went 1 and 2, so it was down $1.43 for every $1 bet. Moving down one more, it's favorites on a high total mixed with 620-mile rule. So we did basically flip 3 of these factors, and then did a Rubik's cube basically of the combinations, and 1 and 1 on this. And San Francisco and LA did meet the parameters for those 2 factors. Now we mixed the 3 of them here, and it went 1 and 1. San Francisco and LA, same thing. Then we added in another layer, which was still the same teams, and that also went 1 and 1. So money line systems basically 1 and 1, very close to across the board. And then some of the ones that are higher performers actually didn't do too great in the first 2 rows. Talking about favorites on a high total with the coaching model from Grandstand Sports Data, and the 620-mile rule along with Grandstand Sports Data's coaching model as well. Now let's move on to some of the spread systems. Top one is going to be the 620-mile rule mixed with the coaching model at Grandstand Sports Data. I know we keep touching on that. The coaching model actually has done pretty well in the last 2 years. We'll leave a link in the description down below on exactly how to build that model step by step. We basically walk through it. You can use it for any sport. Just apply the same, I guess, universal principles, and you'll be all set. But we'll leave a link in the description down below for that video. Went 4 and 2 on the spread, so up $1.64 for every $1 bet. You can see out of that 4 and 2, Buffalo and San Francisco lost and didn't cover the spread, while Houston, the Rams, Vegas, and Denver did. Divisional dogs in the contrarian play here. You can see Arizona fulfilled that, but they did not cover the spread. Same thing with Tennessee on these next 2 rows and next 2 spread systems. And then the last spread system, which was the favorites on the high total mixed with the 620-mile rule. That went 1 and 2, so it didn't become profitable. Buffalo and San Francisco not fulfilling their end of the bargain, but the Rams, of course, they actually helped us out this week. Now let's jump over to the market and see how it performed in week 4, you can see from starting with the contrarian plays, and these are the teams that had 30% or less of the tickets. So basically, the true fade the public sides. They went 1-1 against the spread, and then 0-2 on the money line. So they dropped over 2 units, or dropped about 2 units on the money line. So not a strong week fading the public here. Next is the bet percentage column, and this is literally the public. So these are the teams that most people were betting. They went 8-8 against the spread, basically break even, but on the money line they actually went 6-10, so dipped over 4 units in that bet type. So remember, the public was hot last week, but came back to earth this week. Now let's move on to money percentage, and this is telling us where the actual dollars landed. So these are the teams that attracted more money than tickets, and that angle got back on track. Finished about 9-7 against the spread, and 11-5 on the money line, profiting on both spread and money line. Some people will say money percentage could be considered the sharp side. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. We will talk about the true sharp side, which is these are the teams that didn't have much of that public backing, so they didn't get much bet percentage, but they did get money percentage. That's kind of showing you that they had majority of the money. It's basically the clearest sign of sharp action. Well, that went 4-1 against the spread, profitable about $2.64 for every $1 bet, and then went 4-1 on the money line, up $1.37. So not too bad there. The market actually came back to life. We shouldn't say come back to life, but sharp side decided to come back to life. Where it was more of a public week last week. Now let's move on to the results that are the actual plays from our preview show. You can see on the spread side we went 3-0, profiting close to 3 units. On the money line side we were about 2-2, so we dropped a little bit under a unit there. Now when we layer in the bankroll approach and where the allocations were adjusted based on conviction, the results hit a little harder, right? The spreads ended up going 3-0, but about up 5.5 units, and the money lines came 2-2, dropping more than 2 units. So as you can see, the bankroll allocation helped for maybe one. It helped for the winning proposition, but it didn't exactly help on the losing end. You actually ended up losing more money if you went with the bankroll allocation on the money line side. All right, so here's the updated power ratings after week 4, just based on our model, basically on the benchmark model. Detroit and Seattle, they stay at the top, holding steady, while Kansas City actually makes a big jump into that top 3 after a strong week. Philly and Indy also climbed, so they're showing consistency, while Baltimore and San Francisco, I'm down on them, basically fundamentally just looking at them, but they also slid just outside the top group here on the model as well. So on the other end, Buffalo dropped down, and I know some people are going to scoff at that, but Buffalo's strength of schedule metric is not too good here based on this model. And then Jacksonville, they sneak into the top 10 for the first time this season. So these are the updated power ratings just going into that week 5 slate. All right, so here's the betting profit and loss for spreads after week 4. And on the left, you've got Detroit, Indy, Jacksonville, the Chargers, and the Rams. We also got the Eagles and Seahawks all covering tickets, up $1.73 for every $1 bet. You can consider those teams are in the right market size for overvalue. And what I mean is those teams can potentially come back down to earth. Or you may be looking for some fade spots against them. On the right, the Titans are way down at 4 units. Then you got the Ravens, the Bears, Cincy, Houston, and New Orleans. So that's where you might find some value for these teams moving forward because markets tend to correct. Remember that. Fading those hot against the spread teams and then looking for bounce back from the cold ones. That's kind of where you're going to make your money. All right, so let's do it for the money line side now. And as you can see on the left, you got Philly, Jacksonville, Detroit, Pittsburgh, and the Chargers all cashing early tickets, right? The teams that the market could inflate going forward, though. Keep your eye out on that. And then on the right, you have New Orleans, the Jets, Tennessee, Baltimore, and Houston are all in the red for people's wallets, and that's usually where you can sniff out some value going forward. So the market tends to correct. We talked about it in the last slide. The teams on the right, even though they're losing, you do want to look for them in some good opportunities because the market will correct. The same thing on the left, but you'd be looking for fade opportunities, which means betting against them. All right, so checking in on Super Bowl futures after week 4. The Bills are still sitting on the top, tightening from about plus 420 to plus 380. Philly and Detroit both moved up the boards thanks to the strong wins, while Green Bay stayed steady in the mid-tier range. Kansas City saw their number improve, moving from plus 1400 into the plus 950 range, showing the market still backing Mahomes even after a rocky start. Baltimore slipped a bit, and you can see teams like the Rams and the Chargers drifting out as well. San Francisco and Washington both lengthened, meaning the market isn't buying them as serious contenders yet. I still think you're going to find some good value here with the LA teams going the distance. I also think Kansas City, people are writing them off too easily. Some people are pushing back about the Green Bay. I think that Jordan Love, I keep saying this in every video. I love their defense, but Jordan Love needs to take that next step. I'm not saying he needs to take that next step to like Mahomes or Allen or Burrow level, but maybe that tier right below it. He needs to get there for this team to be considered a Super Bowl champion, in my eyes. That's just my opinion. You guys may have a different outlook on it, but for Green Bay to be taken serious, I think Love needs to take that next step. So thank you guys for watching Grandstand Sports Data. If you got value from this video, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel and then drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts or what you'd like us to cover next. And don't forget to share this with a fellow bettor who could use the edge, right? So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.